So you're really gonna have to forgive my horrible voice for this video because it just seems to be getting worse and worse as the day goes on, which is pretty horrific. So if I sound a bit like a croaky old man, I apologise. But I've got a lot to update on this week and I just want to get right into it and not waste any time basically. So in terms of baby, I am now 35 weeks and he should be measuring around 5.25 pounds, which is pretty big really, and I can definitely feel that. And he should be in length around 46.2 centimeters and around the same size as a bunch of carrots, which I don't know, these food comparisons never really start to match up after a while, so that's how big he is anyway. So I've just had to go and get myself a drink because I feel like my voice is just going to give up on me. But this last week has been so eventful, and I'm just going to get right into it with what happened, and then I'll go into symptoms and things like that at the end. But basically, I filmed my pregnancy update last week, dead on 34 weeks. Everything was fine. And then the next day is when the drama happened. So I posted my last update as normal, and then since then lots has happened. Basically, I went out that morning on a Wednesday. I like to take Daisy to a local playgroup, and on the way to school, Bill fell over quite badly and hurt his wrist and was crying and really upset. I was very distracted, and it was only after I dropped him off that I realised that Daisy had lobbed one of her brand new Clark shoes out of the buggy and it was nowhere to be seen. I walked back and forth and like retraced all my steps. I was huffing and puffing, I was sweating, I was stressed out. She was angry because she was saying that her foot was cold, and I was like, kid, that's very ironic because it's your fault. And by the time I got home, she was having a bit of a meltdown by that point. You know what nearly 2-year-olds are like. And I just burst into tears and got really worked up. And I was just, I think, you know, when the smallest things just get to you and you're just like, I am not able to do today. And I almost just completely packed in the idea of going to playgroup. I messaged my friend and I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm gonna come, I might be a bit late. And then I thought, no, I'm gonna go, because it's like that one time of the week that it's about me and Daisy and we're going to do something that she really enjoys. And I didn't want to sort of let losing a shoe ruin that. So then I spent the rest of the morning like kind of walking around and crawling around after her and playing with her, and I was quite tired by the end. And I said I was going to go and visit my grandparents, so I did, and I went to go and see them and we had lunch and I calmed down a little bit. And we left, and then we got back and I was like, right, I'm gonna put Daisy down for a nap. Bill had football on that day, so I knew that I had a bit of extra time to play with after school, and I thought, right, we'll put her down for a nice long nap and I will just relax. I did that, and then I went and sat on my bed and checked my phone and checked that the baby monitor was on, ready to go downstairs, and then went to stand up. It wasn't really quick, but then the minute I was standing, I got this weird visual disturbance, and all I can say was that it was the first time in my life that I've ever seen stars. I know that there's a phrase for it, but if I get up too quickly or get a bit dizzy, I just kind of feel dizzy. I don't really, my eyes don't go funny or anything like that. I don't have migraines, I don't really suffer with headaches. And it was just twinkly lights all around the outer edges of my vision, and then there was swirling in the center. And I would say that it took about 15 to 30 seconds, somewhere around that point, to clear. And I actually sat down at the top of the stairs, which was where I was at that point. Thank God I didn't try and walk down them. And I just felt really dizzy. And then when it had all calmed down, I messaged my mum and my dad and Mark, because we've got like a little messenger group, and I was like, oh, this is what's happened, and I don't know what that was, but it was quite weird. And mum was like, I think you should ring the midwife. And I obviously know that a sign or a symptom of pre-eclampsia can be visual disturbances, and as I mentioned in my last update, I had like started to experience swelling, so it was something that kind of made me think, okay, I probably should ring up just to be on the safe side. And I did have a bit of a headache by that point. I felt a bit queasy and felt a bit unwell, so I rang the midwife and I rang the antenatal unit. They put me right through to the labour unit, and then I knew that things were not going to go well by that point, and they were like, right, can you come in? And I said, okay, I can, but I've got a lot of childcare to sort out before I can actually get to you, is that okay? And they were like, just take your time, but come in as soon as you can, just because we really do feel that we need to check you out. And it was all very hectic because baby boy's hospital bag for the most part was packed. Mine was half packed, and I ran around like a crazy person throwing things into this bag trying to guess what I would need. I had no idea what I'd already put in there, and I was so stressed out. And then I really tried to calm down so I could carefully pack the kids' bags. So I was packing like pajamas, nappies, wipes, toys, like favourite teddies, a sleeping bag for Daisy just in case they ended up sleeping over at my parents' or something like that. And I was very, very overwhelmed because it kind of hit me that this could be nothing at all, or it could be really, really scary and really, really frightening, and I could have a premature baby. I could be induced because of pre-eclampsia. I had a pre-eclampsia scare when I was pregnant with Bill, where I actually had proteins in my urine and a raised blood pressure, so I knew what to expect. And last time when that happened, I actually ended up in hospital for a couple of nights while they waited for my blood pressure to come down, and it turned out it was a urine infection that was just messing up my body. So it was one of those things where I was very, very aware of like what happens next, and I was quite frightened. During all of this, Daisy woke up because she wasn't really fancying a nap anyway, so my mum comes round, gets me and Daisy, we drop Daisy off. I'm in tears because to drop Daisy off at my auntie's we have to go past the school where Bill was, and I wouldn't get to say goodbye to him, so that upset me. Then Daisy went in with my mum as not to upset Daisy further by me taking her in and then leaving her, so that made me cry again. My mum dropped me off at the hospital and tried to get back to help my auntie with the kids, so I was then in hospital on my own, which I found really, really difficult. And I was hooked up on trace for starters. I've actually got these as a souvenir. Basically, if you haven't been on trace before, they kind of wrap these around, and one is for your baby's heart, and I think the other one is for like tightenings and contractions, and they put like gel on these little nodes and they place them on your belly to monitor how baby's doing and things like that. So I got to keep them with me, and I was told to keep them to hand because the NHS can reuse them then, so I'm going to keep those in like my hospital bag because I would like to save the NHS some money. And I was sat there for quite a while. It wasn't a massively busy labour ward at the time, thankfully, so it wasn't like I was surrounded by loads of ladies in labour, and it wasn't like I was sort of stuck there. They were really, really attentive and lovely, but it was really stressful because I was waiting for every result of mine to come back with like a big green tick rather than a red cross kind of thing. Trace was fine. He was happy as Larry. In fact, he didn't really like the trace and was trying to sort of kick it off. She said, the midwife was like, oh, he doesn't like that, does he? And I was like, no, definitely doesn't. So now I have painful ribs as well as sitting here worrying. And then my blood pressure was fine, and thankfully my urine was fine. But because of what had happened, they wanted like a doctor, a consultant that was on the ward to come and see me and just double check that I was okay to go home. And just as this lovely doctor came to see me, Mark eventually turned up, and I had some company for like the last half hour, so to speak, but she was like, I think what it is that you are very likely run down. And it kind of made sense because here I am now. I have another cold. I'm very susceptible to them when I'm pregnant, and I barely ever get poorly when I'm not pregnant. It's always the way, isn't it? And I am very, very tired, and I think I've been pushing myself a lot with the house, with work, and just sort of trying to fit all of that in around the kids. And obviously you can hear it in my voice, I'm not like 100%. I've put makeup on today because I had some like work to do and I wanted to sort of get on with it, but I have to say inside I am dying slightly. But the thing is with pregnancy is that if I was in a normal job I would have to be at work anyway, so I need to sort of manage, you know, my rest and things like that, but also appreciate the fact that I have to pay bills. So it is really difficult, and I think we all go through that, don't we? Like, when is the cut-off point, and when do we, you know, go on maternity leave? Because in my case, I'm not actually taking maternity leave because we're doing shared parental leave, me and Mark. Mark is taking 2 months off, and he's going to support me in those 2 months when baby boy is born, and hopefully he will come home straight away and we can have those 2 months as a family. Obviously I am going to take it slower, and I'm not going to be posting 3-4 videos a week when he's first here, but it's not feasible financially for me to go on maternity leave. Basically it just wouldn't work, and I think it would be maternity allowance anyway because I'm self-employed. So we made this decision to give Mark a chance as well to have 2 months with his baby, which I think is really important because I'm lucky that in my job I get to have those 2 months and beyond anyway. I'm feeling fine now. I'm just clearly, you know, quite tired, which brings me on to symptoms, I guess, and that is tiredness has definitely crept back up there at the moment. I am just so exhausted all the time, not to the point where I can't do anything. It's not like that first trimester where I just lay there and everything felt impossible. It's just more that feeling that everything is just harder. It's so much harder, and I have 2 children, one of which who, you know, she's a toddler, and running around after her can be really, really difficult. But it's not that long. It's 5 weeks until my due date, potentially 7 latest until he's here. So I know I can do it, but I do need to sort of take it slow. Other symptoms I've noticed, the weather is actually quite cold at the moment this week, but it is warming up a bit, and I've noticed, and please don't think I'm gross, but I am really hot and sweaty all the time, and I really don't like it. It's horrendous. Bill's room that I'm in right now is really warm when it's like in the afternoon, especially when the sun's out, which it is. I am sweating buckets in here right now. Like, it's a good job this doesn't show any wet patches, let me tell you, because it's not pretty. And another thing as well, I've started to get really dry skin, so all on my arms has actually been flaking, which is really unusual for me because I am more to the greasy skin side of things. And as well as that, I have started to feel fuller, quicker and queasier after eating, which is, I think, is normal just because there's just not enough room up there. And then as well as that, it's just, you know, bits of plug again, having a sore pelvis, having a sore middle back, because typically when I'm not pregnant I have a very small waist, and my waist is really, or what was my waist, because let's face it, there is no waist there anymore. That area of my back is obviously my weakest point. It's really struggling now, and I just feel like when I'm walking around doing school runs, running errands, my back is really sore. So I'm just trying to take it easy. But other than that, that is just sort of what this week has been. So it was quite a shock. It's pushed me to finish my hospital bags, which I have done, and I'm really, really pleased about. And it's also just made me realise that, like, I do need to take it slower. I do need to soak up these last few weeks, because it's the last time I'm ever going to have a baby, and I think sometimes I'm losing sight of appreciating what is happening in my body right now because I'm so worried about getting other things done. So I'm really going to try and slow down and really trying to sort this voice out as well, because I don't know where this has come from. But yeah, that is kind of where we're at the moment. So everything's fine. It's just been one of those weeks, but we are ready for baby now. But yeah, that is it. So I will quickly show you my belly and then I will let you go. So this is my 35-week belly with clothes on. This is actually a non-maternity top that I used to wear all the time, and I found it in my wardrobe earlier and I was like, oh, I forgot how much I loved you, and thankfully it still kind of fits. And then this is my belly without any clothes on. I do feel like it's a lot larger now, but then I think that's just because I'm the one that's having to look it all around. And yeah, it definitely does feel like it's on the low side, but there's still plenty of growing left to do, so we'll just have to see what it's like by the end of this pregnancy. So yeah, thank you so much for watching this video as always, and apologies for my croaky voice. I hope it hasn't put you off too much. Hopefully by next week at 36 weeks I will be much better. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope you're all well. Let me know how you're doing in the comments below, and I will see you next time. Bye.